Welcome back to our program. I'm here at Banks Construction Company, and they are the organization, or one of the organizations in our state that develops, creates asphalt for our roadway systems. And all of that asphalt that you see lying on the various streets and roads that we're redoing with your transportation sales tax, much of it comes from here. And we're going to show you a little bit about how it's being made and the people who are involved, and we hope that you find it interesting. I'd like to introduce you to my guest today. Standing next to me is Andy Hewitt, and he is a assistant project manager for one of our larger projects called Bonded Projects, and that's at Bees Ferry Road. And then standing next to him is Reed Banks, and he is president of Banks Construction Company. Gentlemen, it's nice to have both of you here today.
Well, welcome. We're appreciative of you being here, and we're looking forward to talking to you about hot mix asphalt.
You know, this is a huge outfit. What in the world are we looking at behind us? These are big mounds of something, and I'd like to know what they are.
They're aggregate, and that part of the aggregate that we use in our production facility, which is next right behind us. So we produce our asphalt, we design our mixes here, we produce our mixes here, and then truck it out to our projects.
And most folks don't know what an aggregate is. We know that it means the bringing together of something, but bringing together of what?
Well, coarse aggregate and fine aggregate. So we take big rocks, we crush them down to small rocks, and so we produce a finely graded aggregate that we use in our design, our mix designs for our projects.
That large rock, can you find it here in this area?
It's actually not available. The closest available material is in the Columbia region. So we rail all of our aggregate down from Columbia, North Columbia actually, and stockpile it here at our facility.
And once you get that aggregate into your facility, as you call it, into your area of work, what happens to it next? I see these mounds begin to go down, and then we see others go up. What's going on there?
Well, we have a design product. Our product is an engineered product, so we have different size aggregates that go into creating our products, and those particular products depend on the application. So we have different types of mixes, different gradations, different combinations of our aggregates, and we probably have, Cheryl, 50 different job mix designs that we use during our productions.
You know, there are all sorts of rock out there, and this area is really good for that, especially South Carolina and North Carolina. We have lots of mountains and lots of rock. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe the kind of rock that you're using?
Certainly. We use granite, and granite is we have super granite in South Carolina. It's found predominantly in the Midlands. It's a very a hard aggregate. It's a coarse aggregate. It's angular, which is very good for what we do, and it has very little absorption, so it's really ideal for our products.
Now, once you get all of that aggregate ground down into a fine stone, I would assume, it goes to another area and then through a conveyor belt, and then where?
That's right. First thing we do in our production process is actually dry the aggregate. We're using coarse aggregate and fine aggregate, and we're adding something called liquid asphalt. And the first thing that we need to do is dry the aggregate so we get a good adhesion of the liquid asphalt onto our aggregates. So the first step in the process is actually dry the aggregate. So we will heat our aggregates to 600 and 650 degrees in order to completely dry the aggregate. Once we have the aggregate dried, we add our recycled asphalt material, our liquid asphalt, we mix it, and then we store it in our silos for our transportation.
Now, does the mixing and the heat that's been applied have a lot to do with the ability to lay this asphalt on a street project like Bees Ferry? Is that important?
Absolutely, yeah. There's actually standards for the temperature range that you want to have your asphalt coming out at, and that greatly impacts the ability of our crews in the field to have the truck delivered to the site, put the mix in their machine, and lay the mix down. And then behind that you have your rollers, and everything that happens here is directly reflected on the road when we pave.
And it's very important. It's very timely. It's time sensitive, it seems to me, is it not?
Yes, ma'am. Asphalt, the way it's transported is a completely different method.
It has a funny smell, too. What is that?
It's just a mixture of the chemicals and the products that go into the mix, and mixing with that heat is what causes that smell.
We think it smells good, Cheryl.
Oh, I'm sure you do. It smells like money, doesn't it?
Well, asphalt actually is a thermoplastic material, so what Andy was saying is exactly right. We have a perishable product, And typically, best case scenario, we can only transport about an hour before our material gets to a point that it's not workable. So the hotter it is, the more workable it is. As it cools, it hardens, and obviously that's what we ride on, is the hardened product.
Is this plan and all of the activity that we see here, is this going on 24/7?
We do. We do a lot of nighttime work, and we do that so we don't interrupt the traveling public.
And that's a good point that I want to bring up if I can. I understand that we would like, and I know the transportation sales tax people, the management, would like for us to work as much at night as possible so as not to inconvenience the public. Is that a problem for those of you who have to put all of this asphalt down and make sure it's readied on time and all of those things?
Yes and no. Actually, sometimes working at night's better for us as well because there's less traffic on the road. And less traffic for us means we're more productive and safer. But at the same time, yeah, we've got people working during the day, people working at night, and everybody has to get on the same page to make sure all the places or everything falls into place in order for us to be able to have a successful product.
You seem to fence that asphalt so the public won't ride through it, but they do sometimes. Do you have to do it again? I know that sounds silly, but it happens, and we are people.
Well, if they ride through it right after we put it down, not only is it a problem for us, it's also probably going to be a problem for them. But luckily, the good thing about asphalt, it is kind of an elastic product. It within a certain time period, we can fix it.
Good. That's good to hear. Reed, we want to go into your lab as well in just a little bit. But what's the importance of having a lab on site and people who are trained in this area of understanding the various ingredients and temperatures, etc.?
Well, as I said earlier, we have an engineered product, so the quality control in our process is it's critical to the long-term success of these roadways. If we don't do a good job, we won't get long-term life out of these roadways. So for the taxpayers' benefit, quality control is critical with what we do. And we've worked very hard with our quality control division to ensure that.
This company's been in business a long time, hasn't it?
1948. 1948. We're locally owned and operated. We're in our third generation. We're just happy to be here.
Third generation. I had a feeling. We're going to be talking about labs and what they do there, and also we're going to be taking a look around. We want you to stay with us. We'll be right back in just a moment. Please don't go away.